Ever feel like you're basically shouting into the void? You get lots of responses, sure, but maybe none of them are actually what you were hoping for.
Yeah, like talking different languages.
Exactly. Imagine that feeling, but, applied to your business leads. What if the very people filling out your interested form are actually looking for something entirely different?
That's precisely the kind of disconnect we're digging into today. We've got this really fascinating story, a case study from a company called Root.
Right.
They had this situation, seemed good on the surface, tons of interest, demo requests flooding in for their B2B stuff, but something felt off.
Okay.
And as they looked closer, they found this, well, pretty significant misalignment between who was showing interest and what those people actually needed. It's a great example, really, of how a simple experiment, just one person, Dan Martin, spearheading it, can uncover some deep insights and lead to real progress.
Absolutely. And if you've ever, scratched your head looking at leads that seem promising but just fizzle out, or if you've wondered if your website, your messaging is truly hitting the mark with the right audience, then yeah, this deep dive is definitely for you.
We're going to unpack how Root, kind of drowning in these demo requests from the wrong crowd, used a surprisingly simple approach.
Simple as good.
Yeah, not just to fix the immediate issue, but also to learn a ton about their users in the process. So our mission today is really to explore that promise, the promise of truly getting user intent.
And the progress you can make, even with small steps.
Exactly. The progress from straightforward experiments and ultimately the payoff you get when you align what you offer online with what your customers genuinely need.
Okay, let's set the scene then. Rote. What exactly do they do?
So Root is essentially a B2B company. They offer services like shipping insurance, package tracking solutions, primarily for online retailers, for merchants.
Got it. B2B.
And their website had, logically enough, a merchant demo request form, standard practice, intended for businesses thinking about using their services.
Makes perfect sense. You want merchants, you have a merchant form. So where did it go sideways?
Well, this is where Dan Martin and the team started noticing something odd. A really large chunk of these demo requests, they weren't coming from businesses at all.
Oh, who then?
Individual consumers, regular people just trying to track their own package, maybe file a claim about a lost delivery, that kind of thing.
Wow. Okay, so it's like, yeah, walking into that fancy car dealership asking where the bike pump is.
Exactly. And think about the ripple effects, right? The sales team is all prepped for these strategic B2B conversations,
Hmm.
and instead they're getting hit with essentially customer service queries, basic tracking questions.
Oh man, that's got to be inefficient.
Hugely inefficient, wasted sales time for sure. But also, think about the consumer experience. They're stuck, they need help, and they end up in a sales demo queue.
Yeah.
Just frustrating for everyone.
Yeah, bad experience all around. A total mismatch at that very first touch point.
It was a clear breakdown, just not connecting the right people to the right resources.
Sure. Okay, so they identify the problem. Sales team is swamped with the wrong stuff. Consumers are getting lost. What was the fix? Did they, like, embark on some massive, expensive website overhaul? Hire a dozen consultants?
You'd think maybe, but no. And that's what's so neat about this. The solution Dan Martin came up with was brilliant in its simplicity, and importantly, its speed.
Mm-hmm. Okay, intrigued.
Instead of tearing everything down, they implemented a temporary, really basic landing page. Just a quick step before the demo form. Think of it like putting up a clear signpost at a confusing crossroads.
The signpost. I like that analogy. Simple, direct.
Well,
So what did the signpost say? What are the options?
and just asked a very direct question. Are you a merchant or a consumer? Super clear.
Binary choice.
Right. If you clicked merchant, boom, off you went to the original demo form. Business as usual there.
Makes sense.
But if you click consumer, you were given 4 clear options, things consumers actually do need. Track a package, download the app, file a claim, or read the FAQ.
That's it. Just those clear paths.
That was it. The key was making it intentionally quick, intentionally basic. Clarity over polish was the name of the game at this stage.
Brilliant. Just adding that one simple layer of qualification right at the front door.
Yeah.
So what were they expecting? What was the hypothesis going into this little experiment?
Well, the main thought, the core belief, was that a lot of those consumer submissions hitting the demo form were just confusion. People landing there, not quite understanding its purpose, and filling it out anyway, hoping for help.
Yeah, that happens.
So the hypothesis was, if we just ask them up front and route them correctly, we should see fewer irrelevant leads hitting sales. That's one part.
And the other part.
The other part was improving the consumer experience, right? Getting those folks to the tracking info or the claim form they actually needed Much faster, less frustration.
Makes total sense. Address both problems with one simple step. So the signpost goes live, they wait. What happened? Did this quick fix actually deliver the progress they hoped for?
It really did, and pretty quickly, too. Within just a few days of that basic page being live, they saw an 11% drop in the number of consumers submitting that merchant demo form.
Okay, 11% fewer wrong submissions.
Yeah.
That's progress.
But here's the kicker. At the same time, merchant form submissions, the ones they wanted, actually went up by 18%.
Wait, really? So fewer bad leads and more good leads. How does that work?
Yeah, it's pretty striking. Let me give you the rough numbers that makes it clearer. Before this page, they had about 143 total submissions in a period. Of those, 89 were consumers. That's like 62%.
Wow, the majority.
Right. And 54 were merchants, about 38%. Now, during the experiment with the decision page, total submissions dipped slightly to 101. But look at the mix. Consumer submissions dropped to 56, which is now 55% of the total.
Okay, still a lot, but it's a smaller percentage.
Exactly. And merchant submissions went to 45, which, even though it's fewer absolute submissions, it's now 45% of the total, a much healthier ratio.
Got it. So the overall volume went down a bit, but the quality, the proportion of actual merchants went way up. That's a fantastic payoff for such a simple change. It really hits home that volume isn't everything. It's about the right volume.
Precisely. Connection over clicks. And then looking at where those consumers did go, that told its own story.
Right, those 4 options you mentioned.
Yeah.
What did the clicks reveal about what people were actually trying to do?
This really eliminated that initial misalignment we talked about. So of the consumers hitting that new page, a whopping 46% clicked track a package.
Almost half.
Almost half. Another 32% clicked download the app. Then you had 10% clicking file a claim and only about 3% clicking FAQ.
And the rest?
The last 7% clicked an other option, which they found was mostly just spam or bots.
Okay, so tracking, app, claim. It's overwhelmingly clear these were folks with immediate post-purchase consumer needs, not B2B prospects in the slightest.
Not at all. The data screamed. These users are not looking for a sales conversation about merchant services. They need help now with their order.
It's like they were finally given the right doors to knock on. And I heard Root then took this learning and applied it somewhere else too, like with their advertising. They did, yeah. Smart move. They applied the exact same 2-step flow, the merchant or consumer question, to traffic coming directly from their brand advertising campaigns.
Okay, ads pointing to this interstitial page first, and the results there.
Even more dramatic, actually. For traffic coming from ads, an incredible 82% clicked track a package.
82% from ad traffic.
82%. Another 7% clicked file a claim. Only a tiny 10% actually clicked through to the merchant demo option from the ad traffic.
Wow, that's eye-opening. It basically proves the ads, while getting clicks, were overwhelmingly attracting the wrong audience.
Absolutely. It suggested pretty strongly that their ad targeting, or maybe the ad creative itself, was pulling in tons of consumers, not businesses.
And even the few who clicked on what looked like a demo ad were probably still just confused consumers hoping to track an order. That seemed very likely, yeah. So it flagged 2 major issues. 1, the ad targeting needed a serious rethink to find actual merchants.
Right.
And 2, it just reinforced the need for super clear, accessible pathways for consumers, because even ad clicks weren't necessarily indicating B2B intent.
Okay, so this simple experiment yielded some really powerful data showing clear intent mismatch from organic traffic and paid traffic. What happened next? How did Root turn these insights into action? That's the real payoff, right? Making changes based on the learning.
Totally. And they made 3 key changes based directly on this experiment's findings. First, the paid ads team took that data and ran with it. They adjusted their targeting, tweaked messaging, really focused on filtering out that consumer traffic and attracting more qualified B2B leads.
Makes sense. Stop wasting ad spend on the wrong audience.
Second, Dan started collaborating closely with the consumer marketing team. Using the data on what consumers clicked most, tracking app claims they prioritize billing out and improving those specific resources, making them easier to find and use.
So actively serving the needs the data revealed. Good.
And third, arguably the most direct action, they made the winning version of the experiment permanent. That simple landing page asking merchant or consumer became the standard flow.
They kept the signpost up.
They kept the signpost up because it worked. It wasn't just about stopping the wrong traffic. It was about actively guiding everyone to the right place more efficiently.
It's such a great illustration of tackling that core problem, the fundamental disconnect between what the website seemed to offer and what a huge chunk of visitors actually needed.
Exactly. It wasn't a super complex technical problem in the end. It was about clarity, adding that simple moment of choice based on user intent right at the top of the funnel.
And it saved the sales team time, reduced consumer frustration, and presumably led to better quality leads.
All from a quick, low-cost experiment. It shows the immense promise in just asking the right question, understanding the why behind the click.
So for you listening right now, this story from Root really hammers home a crucial lesson. If you're getting web traffic, maybe even conversions, but something feels off about the quality,
Mm-hmm.
the problem might just lie in that initial user intent. Are you truly understanding what people are trying to do when they land on your site?
And the progress doesn't always require massive projects.
Hmm.
What's so powerful here is how quickly Dan's scrappy experiment delivered such clear insights and led to real, tangible improvements.
Yeah, it's a fantastic testament to just testing your assumptions. Follow the data, even if it's from a simple A/B test, or, like here, just adding a clarifying question.
You don't always need huge resources to make significant progress. The payoff can be substantial.
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Consider your own website, your own online entry points. Are there places where user intent might be ambiguous? Could a simple fork in the road, a clearer set of options, dramatically improve things?
Could it connect people more directly with what they genuinely need, saving everyone time and hassle? It's about optimizing that initial interaction.
So maybe the takeaway thought is this. What other little friction points, seemingly small, confusing moments in your user journey, might actually be masking bigger issues around intent?
Yeah, what quick experiments, maybe even simpler than Roots, could you run to uncover those hidden needs, those unmet desires? This isn't just about fixing a leak. It's about truly understanding your audience on a much deeper level. That exploration holds incredible promise.